you don't get attached. But once you have possessions, then the kshema starts. Kshema is all the efforts you have to go through to hold on to it, and then the life comes to an end, and the gold bricks become lead bricks, and you don't even know. You keep on having the pleasure for no reason, and then you realize that it's a lead brick. So family, friends, wife, son, family members, all the connections, they are dreams. This dream that we see, it starts as soon as you open the eyes. As soon as you close your eyes, all this dream disappears. And the dreams that you see at night, they disappear by the time you open your eyes. So both are dreams. One are seen with the open eyes, one is seen with the closed eyes. But they're still a dream. But that state that sees both the dreams is real state. And that's what we have to realize. Whether we're seeing the night dreams or the day dreams, it's the same thing. So good times or both times, both go away. So as long as we realize the anitya state of everything in its paryaya form, all the material things, that's when we'll break our connection, will help us break our connections. So they had the story, the same thing, like there was a king who was invaded by another kingdom, another king, and he loses the battle. Then he goes into the jungle with his chief minister, and they are so disappointed, this and that. And then he had the locket, and it had something written on it. So he says, anytime in a bad situation, you open it. And he says, this also will pass. That's all that was written, right? So it's a very famous story. So he realized that this is also going to pass. Then he gets a hope. Then he accumulates more army. Then he wins the kingdom back, and he starts having pleasure again. Then he starts forgetting. That's when his chief minister says, open that locket again. Remember, even this is not going to last. So all these things, don't get attached one way or the other. So the whole idea is to keep your mind flexible enough to appreciate all this constantly changing world. So whenever we expect things, whether we like the things or hate the things, rag or dvesh, it's unacceptance of the present moment. Say rag is your attachment, and then you want to have that moment be projected in your own future. So your attachment to the present moment, and you're projecting for the future. So you're living in a future that I want to have this forever. So again, you're jumping into the future, but you're not accepting that this will not last. You're forgetting that fact. And dvesh is you hating that situation because that situation has created problems for you in the past. You want it to go away. So you're pushing it. The past is making you alive, and you don't want it in the future. So either way, you're having an imbalanced mind. So you're losing your samta. So samta is ability to handle any situation without rag or without dvesh. So both the feelings generates thoughts, and the thoughtlessness, nirvichar state is the samadhi, and that's the real dharma. That's what we want. So they had this story of a couple that happened in the Mahavir time. So when the Mahavir was giving Upadesh from village to village to village, so there was this couple who had been living in one particular village, and they had two beautiful sons. And turns out to be, because Mahavir was in the town, the wife always wanted to go and listen to him on a daily basis. But so she goes because the children had gone to school, and the schoolmaster, the teacher got sick, and so they concluded the classes early. So now the kids had all day free. So they did was okay, let's go to the local lake and have a swim or something, So now these two boys go there, and they don't know how to swim. So with their friends, they go there deeper and deeper, and ultimately the one guy starts drowning. His brother tries to help him, but he pulls him too, and they both are dead. So now the friends bring the bodies back into the house. and lays them down, and then wife comes back home, and of course somebody has to break the news that they didn't know how to say. They were the only two children they had, very handsome, beautiful kids, and then ultimately wife walks into the house and finds the dead bodies there. She gets really extreme shock, and that's when she realizes the teachings of Mahavir. They say samta. So any situation, you have to make the best of it. Whatever happened, there's nothing you can do about it. That's how it was designed. And then you have to maintain your samta. So she comes back to senses right away. He says, I've been listening to this teachings of Mahavir, so I can handle it. But my husband has been always on a business. How is he going to handle that? And what do I do now? So what she does was she closes the doors and sits outside. And by the next day, the husband returns from another village, finished his business, and comes in, and then she's crying. He says, why are you crying? So she doesn't want to break the news right away. So she says that, well, you remember how I had borrowed those 2 bracelets from the neighbor? He says, yes. He says, they were such a beautiful bracelets. But today he came back to ask for it. So husband says, so what's wrong with that? So you have to return it to them, because that's not ours. They were never ours, right? I said, yeah, but I don't want to return it. I like them. He says, how could you be? You're always so understanding, listening to Mahavir's talk that there's nothing yours. All this is anitya, it's going to go, this and that. He says, how come you have a problem returning them? He says, but I like them. I want to keep them. I said, honey, we cannot afford. He didn't say honey in those days. I said honey. So he says, but it's not yours, so we cannot keep it. He says, are you sure? He says, yeah, you have to return it to them. Okay, then let's go inside the house, take those bracelets out, and take it to our neighbor and return it to them. That's when they open the door and they find their 2 beautiful children dead. And the husband gets a tremendous shock. He says, what happened? So that's when wife says, remember, these are our beautiful bracelets. They were never ours. They were a gift from God for a short time. It was His, and we have to return. And that's when it's, of course, very upsetting for both of them, but they come out of that shock relatively easily. And they say, now our children are telling us something, that life is impermanent. It's anitya. Whatever you see around, whatever material you see is not permanent. Do not get attached to it. Build relationship, don't get bound by it. If you get bound by it, that's our mistake. So stay above everything. That everything is impermanent. So it's teaching us that maybe this is telling us, so both husband and wife learn something from this, and it says, now we have nothing left. What are we accumulating all this money for? Are we not stupid? Going after money all the time and accumulate this and that. After all, we are going after what? After something that is not permanent anyway. So let's go after something that is impermanent. That is permanent. And so that's the time they gave up sansar. They took the diksha and joined Mahavir. And they said, this is our salvation. And so that's how the story goes. So everything that happens, there is something to learn if we have anitya bhavana in our mind all the time. So much for today.
Before everybody goes home, I'll be standing at the door and give me everything before you go home.
What will you do?
You should learn about give up. Not take it.